The Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, or OLCC, will not face criminal charges for keeping highly sought-after liquors for themselves. Fox 12's Drew Reeves joins us now in studio with more on this investigation and why the charges aren't being filed.
Yeah, Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum sent a letter to Governor Tina Kotek telling her that the allegations were thoroughly investigated and that the Oregon Department of Justice determined criminal charges are not warranted. In a report from the DOJ, they stated it would be difficult to meet the burden of proof for criminal matters in this case. The DOJ started their investigation last year at the request of the governor. An internal investigation found that the director of the OLCC and 5 other employees were diverting valuable liquors, including Pappy Van Winkle's 23-year-old whiskey, for their own personal use. The DOJ report said that they could establish evidence that this happened. However, they could not link specific instances to specific employees or prove that employees knew their actions were unauthorized. The investigation, though, did not address whether the conduct of any OLCC employees violated Oregon's civil ethics laws. Governor Tina Kotek released a statement thanking the Attorney General for their investigation. She also said that the documents and reports will now be available to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. They will be investigating ethics complaints now related to this matter. Since the scandal, the OLCC has approved a new rule restricting employees from access to the state's supply of rare and hard-to-find liquor. Reporting in studio, Drew Reeves. Good day, Oregon.